Hey everybody, I want to do a video on solving absolute value equations and kind of go over the mechanics of it. And so we need two answers most of the time. There are times where we'll have one. If the absolute value of a number is equal to 0, then there will be one solution. And if the absolute value of a number is equal to a negative number, like -6 for example, then there will be no solutions. But every other time we need two solutions, one for a positive output and one for a negative output. So let's do some. Number 3 says the absolute value of b over 5 is equal to 1. Since the absolute value is by itself, the bars are by itself on this side of the equation, then we're ready to write two equations, okay? And so we'll have b divided by 5 is equal to 1, that's the positive, and the other one's gonna be b divided by 5 is equal to -1. And then we're just gonna solve each of these, and when you solve each of these, of course, the algebra is the same. In this case, since we're dividing by 5, we'll multiply both sides by 5, and you get b is equal to +5 and b is equal to -5. Now, don't think that just because on this one it's just a positive, negative of the same answer, that'll always be true. That's not always true, okay? Here's one where the absolute value bars has a -3 times r inside of it. And even though there's a negative sign inside of it, a couple things. Number one, you can still solve it. And number two, it's not no solution. The negative sign is fine. And don't evaluate this. Don't just turn this into +3r, okay? Step 1 is to get the absolute value bars by itself, and then step 2 is to write two equations if your equal to is positive. So in this case, same thing. We're going to have -3r is equal to +9, -3r is equal to -9. And then in this case, we'll multiply each side by we'll divide each side by -3. And we'll have r is equal to -3. 9 divided by, and then we'll have r is equal to +3. So this follows the pattern. Since there's no adding or subtracting, you'll have the same answer, positive, negative. Let's come down here. So this one is a little bit more in depth, but it's going to be absolute value of some quantity is equal to 29. Since absolute value bars are by itself, we'll write two equations. 1 minus 5 times a is equal to 29, and 1 minus 5 times a is equal to -29. Okay, solve both. This is two-step equation, so add, subtract first. So -1 both sides. -5a is equal to 28. And then divide by -5, divide by -5. In this case, we'll just have -28 over 5 is our final answer. So that will work if you put this into here. And then on the other one, same thing, -1. So -5a is equal to -30. Divide by -5. And a is equal to +6. Okay, so now that you have something added or subtracted inside of this, it's not just a positive, negative value answer like up here where it's the same value but positive, negative. So never assume that you have if you get one answer, don't just put the other one as the opposite, positive, negative. All right, so last one. This is one I picked right here. And if you think about this a little bit too soon, you might say, well, this is a negative number, so it's no solution. But it's not quite no solution yet, because we're multiplying our absolute value by a negative number. And so actually, this is -5 times 3 plus 4k. And so we'll divide both sides by -5. And you have to get the absolute value by itself first, or the bars by itself first. So this will be 3 plus 4k is equal to, now it's going to be positive 23. Okay, and now obviously that works. So if you see a negative number over here, you need to think it might be no solution, but if you're gonna do some algebra to get the absolute values by itself, then you finish doing that, make sure you don't make a mistake. So now we're ready to write it twice. 3 plus 4k is equal to 23. 3 plus 4k is equal to 23. And we'll solve this. 4k is equal to 20. K is equal to 5. Solve this, minus 3. 4k. Oh, nope. Careful. This is the negative value. And so this would be negative 26. And this would be k is equal to negative, how many goes into this? 6.5? However you want to write it. Okay, hopefully that helps.